12:01. You're listening to the Z Report live right here, JE Network Scoop Radio, Nachum Siegel Network. As mentioned, a good friend of mine, Michoel Pruzansky, just dropped a brand new album. It's 2 days ago. The album is entitled Once Upon a Time. This is a collection of some of Michoel's favorite English songs, but I'm not going to tell you about it. I'll let him tell you about it. We'll discuss the album. So please welcome my guest, the one and only Michoel Pruzansky.
Hi, Yossi. How are you?
Baruch Hashem. It's good to hear your voice.
Thank you. It's a very exciting time.
It's actually, I was looking the other day and trying to see how long has it been since Michoel Pruzansky has released an album. It's been 5 years. Can you believe that? Almost 6 years.
It's been a couple of years since Shooting for the Moon.
Yeah, Shooting for the Moon came out in 2017, and now we're 2023. That's a long time.
Yeah, it takes a while, as you know. It takes a while to put together a good album. Takes a while.
No, it definitely does. But you were very quick on the uptake. Shrecha 2003, and then MP3 2011, Cruise Control 2014. I probably missed in the beginning, in middle. Yeah, you go Pruzbo 2007. So it wasn't. You were pretty consistent, but I believe.
Well, it's actually 20 years since my first album came out, Shrecha, in 2003. Now we're in 2023. So this is the 20-year anniversary.
Wow. Not only anniversary, I see you're taking it to mean literal, because your first album you produced at Yochi before you went to Yossi Zweig, and now your new album 20 years later, you went back to Yochi for the first time in 20 years.
That's right. You got to go back to the roots.
So what was it after all these years? I mean, you've kind of self-produced with some friends, as we know, Ilan Schnitzler and, of course, Rabbi Shapiro, and you worked with Yossi Bald. What was it about this album that made you say, hey, Yochi, would you like to work with me on this again?
Well, I think the type of album, again, I did nostalgia English songs. Mm-hmm. And Yochi certainly has the history and experience of putting together beautiful albums like his Project Relax, many tracks of that, and Moshe Laufer as well has tremendous years of experience in putting together great music, and I really wanted a full production for this particular album.
Mm-hmm. Actually, first of all, regards from Hillel Hirsch.
Send regards back, of course.
He's listening. You can send regards yourself. So Yochi does have, Yochi has been known for Project Relaxes since the early 2000s. I mean, he's released Project Relaxes with Daskal, Lipa, Liner, Levine, anybody in between. He's worked with them all. The last one was with Ari Hill and Arla Samet. So yeah, and Eli Marcus. So he's worked with all of the big singers. So I definitely see what made you go that route. But let me prove truthfully, there's been a couple of English albums collections that have come out in the last few years. What made you say, hey, you know what, let me try it, let me do my version of that?
I'll tell you my niche, people who know my music and they know my song, You're Watching Me, oh Hashem, every step I take you guide, and show me the way. And I've gotten a lot of accolades and also personal compliments from people, how it changed their lives or altered their lives. Mm-hmm. And so I knew I had a good chush for singing English songs. My main sprach, my main speech is English. I'm not Yiddish speaking. I'm not Ivrit speaking. And I knew that was something I was good at. So I really wanted to do an English album. And it's something that's been done recently with Baruch Levine and Shrekky. So it's definitely been a nice course of going back to good oldies.
Okay, so how long ago did you decide to do this album, Michoel?
I'd say about a year and a half.
Okay, now a year and a half ago, you have this idea to do an English collection. Talk to me. What's the next part in the process? How do we go about getting the album done?
Putting money together.
Okay, well, and once that money's there, a year and a half later.
Once the money's there, you go to a man such as Yochi Briskman. Mm-hmm. He'll hire an arranger such as Moshe Laufer, but he'll tell him how he wants it. In other words, when you're going from song to song, English song to English song, right, you have to know which songs in which key flow into the next song. And you have to know music well. So between the two of them, they're able to make 5 beautiful medleys where each song goes fast and slow from one beautiful song into the other, and there's a chachma to that.
So I think we're skipping a part, though. I mean, how do we choose the songs, Michoel? What about that part?
Oh, the songs. Okay, well, me and my team, which will be my family, Elon you mentioned, and a few others. I'll say, look, these are my favorite songs. Mm-hmm. Do you guys have any favorite songs? And I would ask around. I would ask around, what are your favorite songs? And the ones that talk to me I used, and certain people's favorite songs didn't talk to me. It has to talk to me, because in order for me to sing it and get the feeling out, I have to feel it. So, and ultimately it worked. It was hard. This was all the time that we spent, many weeks and months to get a really good list together. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the songs that we got here, the song selections, I think we really did well.
So 27 songs that made the cut of the album. How many songs were there originally?
Close to 100.
Really? Wow. That's almost 4 times that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of songs. I'm sure a lot of people like the Destiny series.
Oh, I'm a big fan of the Destiny, and neither Shweki or Baruch Levine covered their series either.
I wanted to do the Destiny series. The only thing was, because this type of album these are short medleys, kind of one time around the low part, one time around the high part. Mm-hmm. And most of the Destiny songs are a story where you need 3 low parts and 3 high parts, which would not fit into this type of album where we're going from, one beautiful song to the next.
I can hear that.
Only about a minute long.
Okay. So
otherwise,
wait. Let's go a little bit into this, Michoel. Sure, so from Destiny, give me two songs that you would have had on the album.
Well, I love Destiny number 1.
Obviously,
it's a long time ago, but I still love the Aleph Beis Gimel Dalet Hey.
That's a great song.
Moshe and the children would all say. I certainly like that.
Right.
I was considering that one. I was considering Freedom Flight. Up,
really? You know what? The one that I'm waiting to see done, the Lonero Family.
Oh, that's a great one.
That's a gorgeous song.
That album really talks to me, and I like those two brothers.
I was going to say that. Yeah, it's more of a very I would say a little bit morbid because of the ending, but yeah.
Right.
Those two brothers, right. They were the best of. Yeah, great song.
So maybe we'll have to do that in the future, a different type of album.
Once Upon a Time again. ... again. So I guess that'll be part 2, right?
Once Upon a Time, the next chapter. Maybe we'll call it that.
Ooh, that's not a bad. That's
pretty good. Yeah, thank you. That's pretty good. I picked out the first title, Once Upon a Time, and that's the next chapter. I like that. You see, Yossi? You're helping me already.
There we go. Michoel Pruzansky with us via telephone. We're discussing the release of his brand new album, Once Upon a Time, collection of English songs throughout the years. Now, Michoel, one thing I see a very big pattern. I see many Fried and Matcha songs. Don't Hide From Me, Fried. Miracles, Matcha. No Jewel Left Behind, Fried. Forever One, Fried, but never on a Fried album. By the way, I know listener Judy's listening. This is one of our favorite songs. And I always wondered, Michoel, why Avremel never recorded this on any of his other albums?
Well, it's not a secret that I grew up as a kid listening to Avram Fried and Mordechai and David. And I certainly idolized them as a child and enjoyed their music and very connected to their music. Mm-hmm. So certainly it's no surprise that if I'm making a nostalgia English album, I would certainly incorporate a lot of their songs, as well as some Michoel Pruzansky songs, as well as a few Shweki songs. We have Hand of Hashem from Rachamil Begun.
That is, of course, from Judea. And I want to mention the last song on the album, a Yitzi Bald song from Mendy Wald.
That's right.
Smile Again, and that's a great song right there.
It's a powerful song with powerful words and lyrics.
I just learned something from looking at this booklet right now. I didn't know Chanela Felig wrote the lyrics to You're Watching Me.
That's right. She did a great job, and that was a siyata d'shmaya on that album and on that song. And and Show Me the Way really touched a lot of people. And then I have some of my other songs. Some of them are on quick succession. Some of the ones are like talk to him, Hashem will answer you. All you need to do. It's a really good chizik album. It's really a powerful album. If you look at the lyrics.
Now I was listening to the album the other day, Michoel. Yeah. I see you tried very much not to copy the original vocal in the same way it was featured.
Yeah, I would say that's true. It depends. It's certainly a new arrangement, so every new album has its own feel.
Right.
And but I like the way it came out.
I think it did too. I got to applaud you on it. And one of the songs I was also surprised to see, pleasantly surprised, is the letter from David Gabe, because that song, that video that when that came out back in the in the early 2010s, it was like a, really earth-shattering kind of story. People that were davening for each other to have children, and they had twins. It was like a whole crazy story back then when the whole movement started.
Yeah, that's right. And the whole daven for me, daven for you movement started, and it's one of those classics. And talks about challenges that people have, and I wanted to incorporate that as well. I also have another song with a similar theme that was from Shlomi Kaufman's A Time album.
Sunshine in the Rain.
Sunshine in the Rain.
That's right. I was
a similar theme.
I was surprised to see that one too. Great song. Most people only know the a cappella version. They don't remember the music version, so it's great to bring that out again.
Yeah.
I always thought that was an A.B. song. You know what? And now I see it's Yitzi Waldner with
lyrics
by his daughter.
I think A.B. and his daughter wrote the lyrics, and Yitzi Waldner wrote the tune.
Mm-hmm. Another interesting fact I see is that a couple of these freed songs, I think Laufer wrote the original arrangements too. So it's interesting that now he has to rearrange a song that he kind of arranged in the first place.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Definitely. Yeah. Very interesting. So, Michoel, tell me, what do you have a favorite set on the album?
I think my favorite set is the last medley.
Oh, that's the one I'm playing today. Look at that.
Right. Was that Chapter 5, I believe it's called?
Chapter 5. Sometimes we skip to the end of the book.
And it has a lot of the songs that we just... That's right. A lot of the songs we just spoke about. It has The Letter, and it also has Smile Again, which is how we end the album in that haunting piano like Mendy Wall had originally.
Mm-hmm. Hold On from MBD. The Time Is Now.
Yeah. And of course, we didn't speak about Ellie Marcus. I have Ellie Marcus singing on the album.
We're getting there. Michoel, why would you have a guest on an album like this? You haven't put out an album in 5 or 6 years. You're putting out a collection. Did you really need a guest vocalist?
Yeah, 27 songs. It's nice to have a guest vocalist.
Do you and
Ellie's just unbelievable. He's just a fantastic singer and a great guy.
Do you guys have a connection outside of this album? Like you guys are friends, you go hang out and sing together, or?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, he lives in Crown Heights, and we had a little Farbrengen last Thursday. A little Farbrengen, in honor of the new CD, and he's coming out with his own CD as well soon.
Yeah, he told me
he's working on it.
Told me he's about 75% done. His, from what I understand, is all new. It's not a collection.
Correct.
But maybe Michoel Pruzansky will join him for a track.
Maybe. That's right. He wants to return the favor. But
so
he adds his own spice.
Another thing I liked about this, I'm looking at the booklet. You're giving the composer and the lyricist and what album was recorded on. I'm looking here at MBD's Take the Time. I didn't know Mendy Werdiger composed that song.
Yeah. And as you know, Mendy Werdiger from Mostly Music and his son Meir are distributing the album and the CDs and the USBs, and of course on mostlymusic.com.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very, very nice and full circle that he saw that he was the one who composed that song, and he's also distributing the album. That was pretty cool.
No, definitely very, very cool. I also heard something. Tell me, I'm listening to the album and I'm hearing these choirs. I feel like I'm hearing Shapiro's for some reason.
I always have Yochanan Shapiro and company.
Okay, so I'm not crazy. Okay, we're good then.
Yochanan Shapiro is a good friend and has always been involved in my albums since my first album, and ever since then he's always helped me on the journey through the albums, and always helped me pick songs and also direct a little bit, and as also of course always the choir.
Mm-hmm. I see here Yochanan Shapiro, Ushi Shapiro, Aaron Shapiro. Is Shmuley Wald related to Mendy at all, or that's just a?
That's his brother. That's his brother.
I didn't know.
That's right. Yeah.
So very, very exciting.
Great.
And I'm looking at the musicians. I see Eli Laufer, who was, of course, Maisha's son, crazy talented arranger in his own right, and Avi Golda, and Dor Asraf, who's an amazing saxophonist, and Danny Flam and Company. So top-notch production. This isn't, your cheap one-man band production. I mean, you went all out with this album.
It's a full production, violins and cellos and oboes. And if you appreciate good music, and I think people will appreciate this, musically and vocally, and the choice of songs that we used. I think there's a thirst for this type of music right now,
mm-hmm.
and I think they're going to like it.
I don't doubt that for a second. Michoel Pruzansky with me via telephone discussing the release of his brand new album, Once Upon a Time. Michoel, I'm zooming in on this picture. First of all, it says Naftali Goldgrab, who's a phenomenal photographer. Where was this picture taken, and what's on the couch next to you?
So IME Media, very very famous IME Media, who does a lot of media for a lot of singers.
Mo Wasserteil,
They
Elon
had this.
Schnitzler, yes.
That's right, Elon Schnitzer and Mo, and they said, okay, what are we doing? We're doing nostalgia, right? So if we're doing nostalgia, we got to get a nostalgia feel. So they like the idea of the fireplace and the log cabin idea to show some type of a nostalgia look.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem is, how do I get into the log cabin, since this was taken, I don't know where it was taken or who took this photo, but it was taken off somewhere, or some stock photo. So in order to get me into that stock photo, that's where some of the magic of Naftali Gogram came in, and to put me in. I went to his studio in the Five Towns, and then we had to take it in a certain way where we could somehow superimpose me into that photo, and I think they did a pretty good job.
I think they did a great job. I actually thought you went to some log cabin somewhere upstate New York and took a photo.
I was first thinking about that, like, Great Wolf Lodge, or trying to find an Airbnb, try to find a log cabin, which would have been very hard logistically.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been very hard. We did it this way, and it worked out well. I sat on a low stool to match the photo,
Mm-hmm.
and to get the right feel, and they did a good job of putting it together. It was a very original cover.
No, definitely very interesting. We're going through the album. People, I think, are assuming when they see that warm cover and they hear nostalgia that everything's slow. But, we got to take them away from that. First of all, Hearts of Gold, and in chapter 1, it moves pretty quickly, the song. It's not a slow, you guys didn't do a slow version of it.
I spoke to Avi Fishoff, and there's been quite a few versions of it over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to him, how did you like my interpretation of your song? And he said he really loved it. And the thing is that, for me, there's two. I wanted the speed, obviously, that we took was quick,
right?
As opposed to more of a slow ballad.
Mm-hmm.
I put it into here we stand like so it's moving along really fast,
right?
And I think that it gives it a fresh feel.
No, it definitely does.
Fresh feel.
And you have that with in chapter 2 with Hu Yevasser, also a quicker song, and then you end chapter 3 with Nissim. Nissim's not a slow song either.
Nope, Nissim is fast.
So it's not all slow, ladies and gentlemen. And he ends chapter 4 with Lonely People from MED. And that's a very fast and upbeat song, as we all know from the English collection.
That's correct. And then one of my songs, On a Mountain Stands Mashiach, right? And I did that. In the original, I did it slow, but in this version, we did it
a lot of fast.
Yeah, actually,
you timed it at least 2 or 3 times to pick the speed up. Definitely.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, brand new album in stores now, available for digital download on all streaming platforms, Jewish and secular. Available as a USB and available as a CD for your collection. Once Upon a Time. Michoel, I feel like you're telling me a bedtime story or something. We do have to mention...
Next chapter.
Yes, next chapter. We're going to be pushing this like the...
You're going to have to get credits.
The Empire Strikes Back. The next, we do want to, of course, mention before we let you go the dedication. You haven't had an easy year. Michoel lost his father earlier in the year. And this album is dedicated to the memory of your father. So you want to talk to us about that for a second?
Sure. My father is a very famous Baal Menagin in his own right, always singing our Shabbos tables. As a small child, I learned how to sing from our Shabbos tables, and obviously got the musical genes from him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was also a Baal Tefillah, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, and he would travel around the country. So the Pruzansky, my father and his brothers, are big Baal Menagin, love to sing, and it's all in our blood, So we all love it, and certainly made a lot of sense to dedicate it to my dear father.
Oh, man, his neshama having aliyah. I'm sure he's enjoying the simcha that you're bringing to people and the thoughtfulness that nostalgia brings. Because let's be honest, that's what it does. We don't talk about it often, but I think Michoel would agree with me. When I was back in my yeshiva days, and I'd be in my room, Bein Hastarim, and I'd be listening to music. Whatever happened, the shas that I was listening to that album, like years later, I can be listening to an album. And, memories will come back to me about what I was doing or where I was when I heard that song first. It's
right.
And your brain is wired like that. It takes
That's
you
right.
back.
That's the power of music.
The power of music. So you're listening to Don't Hide From Me, Avram Fried, which came out back in 1992, 93. Or you're listening to Mama Rachel, which came out later from Yaakov Shweki. Nissim from Shlomi Gerner, which was like 2006. You have My Fellow Jew from Fried. The Bird of Hope, which of course is from Mordechai Ben David. Keep Climbing from Fried. Lonely People from MBD. Smile Again. I mean, this is taking you over probably about 30, 35 years, right?
Yeah, some of these go way back, and some of them are a little closer. But it's a span. It's definitely a span.
Michoel,
and the ones I was just going to say, the songs that people know will enjoy, and the songs that they may not know, they will enjoy. They're going to learn it, and they will enjoy.
You always, Michoel, I always wonder this when that happens, right? Somebody's listening to your album, they hear a song they've never heard before, and they track down the original. And they go back. Do they enjoy the original now that their first introduction was to a different version of it?
Well, that's like whenever someone does a cover, you're always going to have a different.
You are, but their introduction is the cover version. So a lot of times they don't appreciate the original because they weren't introduced to it in that format, so to speak.
Right, and you have different arrangements, of course, and different feel.
Correct.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, Michoel, I want to wish you Hatzlocha Rabba with the album. Please don't wait 6 more years to release another album.
You got it, yes. You're a good friend. Thank you.
Keep it up. The amazing work. Ladies and gentlemen, Michoel Pruzansky, thanks for joining us, Michoel.
Thank you.
Have a great day.